All right, welcome to Marketing RV with Ranalli, and that's Gene's cue.
Oh, Gene Volpe.
Excited today. Well, first, we have business we want to take care of, or do you want to go right to it, or what?
Go ahead. Yeah, take it. I don't even know what kind of business we're dealing with today.
Well, we still have to get caught up, and it's going to be put off to a future podcast, caught up on your trip to Disney World.
Yeah, that was wild.
That's really
There's a lot
cool.
to talk about, too.
There's a lot of marketing stuff, but Gene hooked us up with a couple of guests who have their own podcast. Day One, $0. You might know Will Grimes and Eli Schmidt, who join us from, should we say the Highlands?
Some shithole. Some Midwestern shithole.
Rocky Mountain High, Colorado, Denver.
I could play my own music right now and give my own intro and just be some bad dudes so it comes out right, Gene.
All right. Well, listen, here's what I want to tell everybody. If you're not listening on iTunes or Google Play or Google Podcasts or whatever, you need to check out YouTube because these bitches is ugly. You got to see it for yourself.
Oh my God. That's so, wait, is that a compliment? Because I'm so old, I don't understand. I think they're two handsome gentlemen. What are you saying here?
I'm only teasing. I just like breaking balls. I'd met them because we did a podcast together before, and Will came firing out of the gate, taking shots at me. And I was like, this is going to be a lot of fun. So I figured we'd have him on our show and return the favor.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Gene asked if he could take me, and I said, Gene, I'm a straight killer. And it was just downhill from there. But I don't know why he was poking the bear. I don't know.
Because you're in Denver and I'm in Philly, and I can do that.
You're that guy at the zoo that wants to go over the cage because you think, it's just a lion in the zoo. He's friendly, and I'm not.
No, I think I'm the guy that you think is in the corner hiding, but I'm really setting up to cut your larynx out. You got there's, you know what I mean? Like a little different. But anyway, I digress. Let's get into the good stuff.
You know, my dad can beat up your dad. What? Why would you even mess with Will? First of all, he's way bigger than you.
He's in Denver. I can say it. He's in
Marine.
Denver.
He could get here tonight. You know,
he can't find me. I'm not worried about it.
He's that guy that gets drunk at the bar and he's like, all right, where's the guy I should fuck with and get my ass whooped today?
This is amazing.
See, you're close, but it's more like this. I'm 5'9", and I'm every bit of 185. So if I fight you, I can't lose. You should beat the shit out of me. And if you don't, you're a punk. You know what I mean?
No, Gene, I just handle things diplomatically. You'll die in a car accident. I'm not going to beat you up at the bar, but you'll die on your way home in a car accident. No one will know.
Yeah. All right. So wait, let's get into that because you were part of the CIA. Is that true?
Listen, man, that's not a cool intro. See how you waited for me to say I'm going to kill you and you won't find out to throw in what I do for a living?
No, that's not really what you do for a living, but you do have a little bit background, right?
So I guess Cliff Notes for us, right, is with Eli and I with Day One, $0. We own a top 1% producing real estate team together. The Cliff Notes is, I did a little bit of pro baseball, and I had a best friend die in Iraq on his first deployment. So long story short was I left baseball and I went to the Marine Corps and was there for a long time, was attached to SOCOM, Special Operations Command, for 7 of 8 years, and had a great time with that. Became an instructor. I was our counter sniper instructor for division schools. And then from there, I did some government / what you guys would call mercenary work. And then from there, came back home, became a police officer, did that for a little while, and then got back into fitness and just wanted to be an entrepreneur and doing my own thing. So I'm all of that, and he's Jewish, which is awesome.
That's it.
which makes awesome for business. There's some fun contrasts. There's some good, there's just different perspectives.
Oh, wait a minute. I heard a little stereotyping there.
No, it's fact. It's not a stereotype. He's Jewish.
Eli,
he said was Eli does the numbers.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Eli, am I wrong? Is that not a stereotype? I mean, let's just put our cards on the table here.
If I didn't know him, it would be. But if I can go, he fits every mold of that. So,
stereotype. when you build your brick and mortar, you're going to call Gene and say, "Hey, take care of the cement," because he's Italian. I mean, if we're going to play this out all the way, right?
No, Gene, I buried Gene in the cement so no one finds him.
I hope my wife's not listening. She might call you.
Hey. No, he's not. I'm being funny. But long story short, so that's like my pedigree. Eli is what I like to call our born entrepreneur. He's definitely a lot more entrepreneurial, I guess, than I guess I would consider myself. Super crafty, super creative. And as I was growing in real estate, I was just on a couple different things. And him and I knew we had I guess acquaintances, you could say, as far as just within fitness, and we got together and wanted to build something together, man. And it's been super interesting. You kind of heard from that last podcast when we were together on McDaniel's podcast. It's the best part is just the contrast and just some of the color that comes from, I guess, a guy like me and blending that with a guy like him. Pretty fun.
Yeah.
So Eli, what's your background? How did you arrive to this place?
Primarily fitness. I was a personal trainer right out of high school, didn't go to college. Just started kind of working out with my friend and stuff like that, and got really in deep with the fitness scene. Mm-hmm. Did a few like competitive bodybuilding shows and that kind of stuff, and then got all that out of my system. And pretty much I had scaled that business to, as good as you could get it, but ultimately you're trading time for money, right? And I had, tried scaling online and whatnot and growing my business that way. But at the end of the day, you're trading time for money. I knew that wasn't the way that I wanted to, continue to go down this path. Started studying successful people, realized most of them had some form of real estate in common. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, all right, real estate seems to be a thing. Started learning that, got a YouTube, listened to the Bigger Pockets podcast, started wholesaling homes, got into flipping homes for a couple years, ended up losing my ass on a couple of homes at once. It was pretty much everything I had made in the company, lost, and then more. Mm-hmm. And then ultimately it was that big failure that led me to kind of realized I liked the end process way more than the actual flipping the homes. Even when we were listing our homes that we had flipped with an agent, I'm like, hey, let me do the marketing. Let me do the flyers. I'm going to do the open house. I was just a control freak about all that.
That's awesome.
One day, my wife, she was like, why don't you just get your damn license? And I did, and did that for a little bit, and then met this guy here, and
he prayed for me.
I literally did. I literally did.
I use that against him.
I literally did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
So wait, go back. Give me a little bit more how you guys met. How did you guys actually meet?
He slid into that DM, bro.
That's great.
He did, literally.
I'm like, what other fuckhead is out there doing shit different that might listen to me being so new? And I was super new as far as real estate, but I wasn't new to leadership. I wasn't new to culture. I wasn't new to just figuring out a different way to do things. And I knew super quick. No disrespect to leads. I'm not a guy that's against leads. I was kind of feeling where those were at with the Zillow leads and the Realtor.com leads and what call centers were doing to try to get some return. And I guess one of my first thoughts was like, why aren't you talking to your neighbors? Why aren't you talking to people at your kids' schools? Why aren't you talking to people at the gym? Like, that's fine if you want to do leads, but leads are people that are right in front of you as well. Like, right. What's to make you think that they're not on there as well? And if, do you know your immediate surroundings or not? And can you become that subject matter expert and that person that's successful within your sphere? So when it is time for them to look at buying or selling, they're thinking of you and just coming top of mind. So we've been a little different as far as how we decide to brand and market ourselves, and we haven't spent a fucking dollar on it. So
yeah, and I want to talk about that too. I really want to get into the video side. I want to get into your setup and the podcast side and I like what you said, because I'm a big Rogan guy. I listen to all his stuff as well as some other people that come out of it. And you said to me, I forget how you said it, but you were like, bro, we went hardcore Rogan style. And I knew exactly what you meant, because you got the Shure mics. I think your setup is a lot like it with the headphones. Like you spent a little bit of money on the studio. You didn't go for the original $14 microphone to get started, right? So I want to get into that because of how important that is, right? But first, let's do this first.
Gene, you got to turn it down a little. You're hot.
I'm hot?
Yeah, I know you like to hear that. Don't take it wrong, but yeah, just tiny bit.
No. I'll tone it down. I get it. Let me see. Let's see. How's that? A little bit better?
Yeah, a lot better.
Okay. Sorry.
I had to cut in because it was borderline, making the sound, bad.
Well, I can tone that down before we go to edit if I need to. So
yeah, but it's a bitch. But go ahead.
No, it's easy enough. It's easy enough. But so one of the things I want to talk about is cereal. You know where I'm going with this?
No.
Yes.
Back to Killers?
No. It's like breakfast cereal.
I
know exactly where he's going.
Yeah.
All right, tell me where I'm going, Eli. Go ahead.
Our Be About Bliss Foundation, man. Right?
Yep.
Food kit.
Yeah. Talk to me about it.
Yeah, dude. So last year we connected this girl, Rachel Bliss, and she started this foundation called Be About Bliss. And basically what she found, man, was that there are some really underprivileged schools and underfunded schools in Denver. And I mean, surprisingly, man, because Denver, I mean, it's not a cheap place to live, but you go to some of these schools and there are teachers there that literally every week, man, on Friday, they're packing lunches for certain kids in the classroom or for their classroom to feed them Saturday and Sunday while they're gone, because otherwise, if they're not getting school lunch, man, they're not eating. Right. So there's a lot of these teachers that are taking their own money and they're packing up food kits every week. And the big problem is over long breaks, like winter break. They got a 2-week break coming up here, and these kids just don't eat, man. So what we do is she puts together these food kits, these food packets, to feed these kids and their families for 2 weeks, man. And there's like a bunch of non-perishables. There's as much fresh stuff as we try to get in there. A lot of beans. We're in charge of the cereal. So last year we did cereal. We're doing cereal this year again, man. And that's fun, dude. We're both little like fat kids at heart, man. We love cereal, dude.
I thought we were just getting cereal, dude. He totally tricked me. Not that I'm a good nonprofit and like helping people. Dude. I might have been tired that day, but he's like, "Hey, you want to get some cereal?" I'm like, "Fuck yeah,
yeah,
sounds amazing." He's like, "Let's get all of it." I'm like, "Yeah." So $1,200 later, $1,400 later, I'm like super happy.
It was more than that. Yeah,
I didn't have one bite.
Broke him into it last year, dude. And we were so bad, man. We were so busy last year, dude. We had 1,500 or 1,100 boxes of cereal to get. And we just didn't promote it or work on getting any donations. So literally like a week before, we had to go to 5 different grocery stores and clean them out, man.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I'm not a huge guy, right? But the looks we got when me and my partner over here were buying that much food, from these stores, it was quite poetic.
Yeah, 5-10 carts full of cereal.
Yeah.
That is so funny. I mean, did you ever think of calling General Mills and seeing if you could just get it direct? I mean,
no, I mean, so back with that fitness company, we did a lot of different things as far as like with different organizations and stuff like that. They'll contribute at scale. It just takes time.
Yeah.
And, partly about giving back, like in some of these places where I grew up. So one of the schools that we're doing this year is where I went to elementary school. So I definitely feel like part of giving back is some of that grunt work and getting your friends and your family and people that getting them involved so they can feel the benefit of what it means to actually take some money out of your pocket and some time out of your day and go pack these things up and then go give it to the kids and reap the benefit and just understand the value of what you're giving. And if we're just getting General Mills involved, of course they could do it at scale. I'm sure they already do things at scale. Yeah. However, just making that, and you don't necessarily always have to do that. Sometimes it's just about making that small impact in your community, and just going and feeling that value that you can give and just realize like, hey, even if it is small and it's 3,000 boxes of cereal, understanding, just the impact and how big that is for some of those families. I think that's the benefit that you get. It's that selfishly, right? It's that perspective you get when you feel, what it means to give to someone in need.
Right.
And I know you're doing it. I'm sorry, Gene, just for the sheer, charity of it. I know that that's the impetus here, and that's the catalyst for what you're doing. But I have to wonder, because whenever you do this kind of stuff, you tend to reap other rewards that you're not even looking for, So how many real estate connections or potential connections do you think I don't know if you can quantify it, do you think you might have made just by, opening up this new network, if you will?
Super great question. And I would, and I always kind of fall back and like, what's the ROI of being a good fucking dude? You can't measure it. What I will say is,
there's heaven. I do believe there's the eternal reward, but go ahead.
Well, and there's also business reward, but there's not a direct ROI that you measure from that, right? So
no, it's all PR.
When you look at like the past 2 years of everything we've done video wise and social media and doing things professionally, doing things with our family and really just capturing who we are as guys, it's created a ton of return as far as, referrals and people reaching out through social media and helping them with business. To try to pinpoint what video it came from, I don't think there's one activity or one video. I think, again, like, just being a good guy and just doing all you can to be consistent, on those platforms and really just trying to be true to yourself and exposing everyone to what you do, whether it's professional or nonprofit or with your family. And at first, some of that stuff might seem corny per se, right? But when you're consistent with it, people know that that's just genuinely who you are. And people want to work with, folks that they think that they can trust and that they think are good people. So I think there's an extraordinary reward to it directly from that video or directly from that experience. It's just too hard to try to track it to one video because everybody we see through social media, they talk about all of it. We've even had people literally reach out and say, hey, you guys just look busy and you're always doing work. Would you mind selling my house? We've done that. And they saw our videos. We go back to see which video they liked or which video they commented on. You won't find it. They're just one of those people that watch everything, but don't remember to click the like button or click, commenting something because they don't have a sales hat on. So, and then I remember like myself being a consumer when I'm sitting on the shitter watching video. I don't always like every video I see, but I remember what I watch. I remember what has an impact. So there's definitely just a lot more impact than people realize. And first and foremost, if you're trying to go for that direct ROI, I think you're going to miss in the first place. But I do think just understanding how to just use those platforms to capture and scale who you are as a person and what you're all about as a company, I think there's extraordinary reward.
Yeah, and we're real big on layers, man, and just doing the best we can with every tool that we have and putting it all out there, knowing that something is going to stick. That goes with when you're selling a home, when you're marketing, when you're documenting what you're doing every day. Like when you're selling a home, is it the open house that's going to sell it? Is it the Facebook ads that's going to sell it? Is it your photos? Regardless of what it is, you don't know. So you make sure that you crush it in all of those and then put a good product out there. With us on our day-to-day, like personal brand and stuff, when we're documenting a charity that we're working with, when we're documenting just our day-to-day fuckery that we're doing around town, when we're doing our podcast and everything is just quality and good, that itself becomes a product as a whole, which I think is really important.
Yeah, and I think that's what Gene's going to get into in a little bit after the whole Be About Bliss part and just giving back. And there's also some things we do for veterans. Obviously, I'm a veteran. There's some things that we do there. But I think first and foremost, just your integrity behind what you do and just the standard of proficiency that you hold yourself to when you have a great product. So when we're doing that Be About Bliss, it's professionally produced with videography. When we're doing a podcast, it's professional and it's well done. And that's our word. That's our standard. That's our product, right? So I think things like that matter.
I am going to get a little bit into that, but I think we're probably going to hold that till the second episode because there's a lot, I've been in the marketing business and real estate business for over, 12 years now. And I see when people do things the right way. And when I first met you, I did a little recon on you. And the way you went from, and maybe I just missed some of the old stuff, but the way you went from 0 to 60 in the quality is something that I want to get into because there is a line at some point, right? So you're doing all these great things and you guys actually have a videographer a la Gary Vee style that follows you around. You have editors. So regardless of, you probably think like me, this is just cost of doing business, but there is a cost to it. So I know a lot of people that quit 2 weeks in because it's like, I just spent $600 on a camera, boom, 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 and I'm not seeing immediate response. So I want to get into that in the second episode where I need to know what your guys' thoughts are because I think you probably have some great insight as to this is why we do it. Here's how it works, right? But so before we get to that point, I want to ask you this question. And we didn't prep this, so your answer might be no, don't worry about it. Is there somewhere where people can go if they're interested in helping you guys out with that serial thing? And is there somewhere where they can reach out to you and just to get some more information?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm sure you can find, and we do a lot of stuff on our personal Facebook. And so if you ever want to direct message or have a conversation with us, just find me, under Will Grimes. You'll find that. If you know Gene, we are mutual friends, believe it or not. I like that guy. So if you see Gene and I are mutual friends, it's just under Will Grimes or through Eli Schmidt. I think there's a website for it as well for the lady that actually runs that organization.
Day $1 Yeah, I think go to Day $1 on Facebook, like our page. You can shoot us a message there. And you'll get to see all our live stream podcasts.
Okay, excellent. Gene, if you don't mind, I want to kind of, there's so much that you guys said in this last 20 minutes that is important to me. And as far as marketing goes, the whole PR thing gets so overlooked. And right now in marketing, data is just like, everybody's all about data. Well, how are you going to get data if you don't do the PR to get it? And just like you said, well, it's not always trackable, right? You can't always measure it. But you got to keep throwing it out there, taking massive action. And in this day and age, you got to hit up every single channel. So if it's a podcast, if it's a video, if it's the social media, and still some traditional media, it's not done yet. Whatever you can do, because that translates to the social. You guys get a call from a radio station in Denver. You're not going to turn them down. You're going to get on the air, right? TV or whatever. And then you're going to use that in your social.
It's a loaded question. I don't know. It's a loaded question. I think first and foremost, when you're looking at PR and you're looking at platforms, is you got to stick to who you are and you got to stick to what you're good at.
Right.
I'm not going to write you a blog. I'm not going to fucking do it. Even if blogs were taking off right now, I'm not just going to go hop on that for the sake of hopping on it. And if I can have someone write it for me and it's my words, I know Gary Vee does a lot of that.
That surprises me because Will's a great writer.
I'm an incredible writer.
It's funny too, because after listening to your last podcast, I was wondering when you're going to call me to write your book for you, but we'll talk about that off air.
Comic book.
Oh no.
Yeah, no, I've just done it a lot, but I also understand it like as much as like I've excelled at writing and through school, and believe it or not, the reports you have to write for investigations as a police officer would blow your mind. Some of the best writers I've ever met were just guys that have been on the force 17 years that were incredible at writing investigations. So there's a lot there as well, but I think just with some of my humor and character and kind of being free spirited and who I want to be, I think it's better captured on platforms like long form. We love podcasts because it allows you to explain a lot more, and you're not necessarily on a time hack per se. And, in long form, like for example, Eli and I deliberately, we don't cover topics in detail. We know what we're going to talk about prior to the podcast, but we have an open discussion during it because in addition to the material, I want people to learn how my thought process goes about. I want them to learn where I took a thought and then where a thought finishes, an hour and a half later. I want them to learn that as well. I don't want them to just take the material I'm going to present and then like do it because I say so, or do it how I say because that's what I said. I want you to see me maybe sometimes feel myself contradicting myself, and then I say that, or maybe I've got to back up and see it from a different perspective. I want people to feel the atmospherics of a thought process, and then obviously know it's okay for them to
think for themselves and put it into their own formula. Almost, right? Yeah.
And you got to lead from the front. People need to hear and feel you go through that. It can't always be so scripted that all they can take is your prepped presentation. Then it's like you either agree with me or you don't. It's a TEDx, right? Which I'm not against. I think there's a platform for that. I don't think that's how we want to run our podcasts. So I think first and foremost, just whatever platforms you're using, you just got to make sure like they fall into your strengths and you can be consistent with them. And then as far as radio shows, like I think we'd be more than excited if they wanted me to be a certain way or pitch a certain thing, then no, I wouldn't. So I would say
they would only be able to interview you for you, So yeah, I get
and in regards to your comment about data, and I love hearing that because while all those guys are trying to figure out how to directly correlate an ROI associated with putting out a video,
we're fucking winning.
We're just crushing video.
And I'm not saying that it doesn't have its place, but I guess I take it personally because I do so much PR. And when I get knocked down by companies, oh no, we're not interested because we just want to see the data. And I'm like, well, where do you think you get the damn data?
That's the problem. That's like looking at Michael Jordan's stats and going, okay, cool, that's what's expected. No, you're looking at other companies' data. You have no idea if they're in their wheelhouse, if they're not in their wheelhouse, where the data came from. And as you guys know, you can make data sound however you want. What's most important is that you've got to find a way to take some fundamentals and be super consistent. And then you've got to start getting a feel for your own data. So what works for you, right? And you've got to just, one, if you're not consistent enough, you're not going to know if something worked or if you just didn't put enough into it, right? Like if we're talking about social media paid campaigns, like when people do that, if you put $1 on a paid campaign, you might be doing the right thing, but did you do enough of it? No. Well, the same thing kind of correlates to being consistent with your product. As Eli and I started doing our Friday videos on our social media, it was every Friday for over a year. And then we started getting a feel for what people were liking, what they weren't liking. Every time me and this clown started talking about how we stay fit now that we have real jobs, right? And I'm out of a fitness company and he's out of the gym. We started teaching people how we stay health and fit, fitness stuff in our real jobs, and we got extraordinary comments and traction on it. So after a year, we had a handful of those conversations, a handful of those videos. Well, we ended up growing a networking group called Fit Works out of it, and we've had that for a year. And that's so Fit Works is exactly like it says, being fit works. So fit mentally, fit physically, and then how that correlates to your business. Well, we got so much traction every time we would do a video like that every on a Friday. We're like, well, shit, why don't we just start teaching realtors and lenders how we approach this long form and how this actually, correlates to your business and into your family instead of just talking about it. Why don't we take people through an actual year course and let them reap and feel the benefits of it? So, and that literally came from, out of a Friday video every week for a year. We might've done maybe like 6 or 7 of them, but every time we did it, it was super obvious how much curiosity it was. We then grew a networking group. So I think that's where people, right? Is like when you're being consistent and you're getting data, how do you take action on the data? I think that's where people have a hard time is something's working.
We're gonna hold it right there, Will, because we're gonna run out of time and we're gonna continue this in our next podcast. So Marketing RV, we got Will and Eli, day $1.0. Tune in next time to hear the rest of the story.